Probably because they're cheaper. Hello and welcome to the Whisky Trials. I'm Neil and I'm a whisky trialer. And today is Father's Day. Happy Father's Day, everybody. Now, let's talk about fathers and whiskey before I divulge the whiskey that I bought from my dad and myself, just so that we could potentially share a nip, because he's probably having one right now as I film this. So, dads and whiskey. There's a definite relationship there in terms of sometimes that could be the person that might get you started on whiskey. You've probably got some memories of your dad drinking whiskey. I certainly do. Actually, if you go back through my videos and look for the A Story in a Glass, the Lefroy 10 one, that is kind of taken from a memory that I have with my dad giving me a little sip of the whiskies that he used to like. And my dad's gone on a whiskey journey. He used to like the peaty ones, the Lagavulins, the Lefroys. He liked the smoke, all that kind of stuff. And since then, that's tapered away. He's moved away from malts. He's moved away from the peat, the smoke, all that kind of stuff, and he has moved to more blends. Probably because they're cheaper, and he's retired. So, yeah, his journey is definitely different from mine, because I would have started with blends. In fact, I did start with a lot of blends. Tried a few single malts, and then had, a couple of epiphany kind of whiskies that just sent me on this crazy journey. Just want to taste everything, essentially. But on that journey, it can be difficult because you sometimes find stuff that you like, but you tend not to buy too much of it because you're always looking for the next thing, the next taste. And obviously, making videos like this, I'm always looking for the sort of next whiskey to review and to taste. Sometimes if I really do like them, I will buy them. But back to the Father's Day dram that I bought from my dad. So with that story in mind, that he's moved to blends, it's pretty much all he drinks now is the cheaper blends, White and Mackay and whatnot. Which, do you know what? It's not undrinkable. It's quite a nice little drop. But once you've gone on this kind of journey of discovery like I have, it becomes a little bit weak. However, so I can guarantee that my dad has probably never had a red wine cask finish whiskey. And what I bought was the Tamnavulin Red Wine Cask finish whiskey. I have bought at least 7 of these since they started coming out in the co-op, my local co-op. Mainly because they're almost always on a deal. It's like 22 quid. And what we'll get into is 22 quid is a very good bargain price for this style of whiskey. So yeah, Speyside single malt Scotch whiskey, red wine cask edition. It's French Cabernet Sauvignon cask finish, so it's 40%. Anything else? It doesn't state that it is non-chill filtered or that it has colouring. Normally the red wine casks, you don't really need colouring in them because they can come out quite dark. So yeah, let's just pour one. Oops. You take the old whiskey coin off the glass there. Probably won't need it for this because this is a neck pour because I've only just opened it, and I probably won't need the coin. It's only 40%, so won't need to keep the vapours in too much. But I really wanted to just dive straight into the sort of nosing and the tasting of this, just because I kind of feel like my dad's probably having the same nip at the same time, so it'd be nice. What else to say about this? Will I read out the notes of what to expect? Matured in American oak barrels and finished in French Cabernet Sauvignon red wine cask to complete the sweet, mellow and smooth taste of Tamnavulin. Tawny gold in colour, this aromatic Speyside single malt offers enticing aromas of orchard fruits, poached pear and almonds. Warm nectarine flavours with subtle notes of damson plums and gingerbread on the palate. We shall see. I know. Strangely, I don't know why I've not taken any notes on this. Like, I've had so many bottles of it, but I haven't taken any notes. I'm getting bad for that now. I need to take a lot more notes. So let's get into this one. But I know what to expect. Some of that stuff I'm not sure about, but we shall see. Let's go. So I wonder if it does have colouring in it. I'm almost getting that smell of I know it sounds weird, but there's like a kind of it flattens out the nose, I think, with the colouring. It doesn't seem to have these peaks of things. So it'll be interesting to know if it is got colour in it or not. I hope it doesn't. But I'm getting that kind of it's quite an earthy wood that I'm getting with maybe like a stewed plum. Slightly bitter almost on the nose. You know, it's got a bit of a tang. I think because this is a neck pour and because it's not had much airtime, it is giving me different aromas than what I normally get from this. What I normally get from this in the previous bottles that I've had have been quite a lot of fresh red fruits. So we're talking raspberries, strawberries, red currants. And this one is not quite coming to me yet. What did the bottle say again? It says it's aromatic. Exciting aromas of orchard fruits, poached pears and almonds. Yeah, there is like a, given that this is a neck pour, there is quite what I was saying about the oaky earthiness. It could lead on to a nuttiness, but not so much an almond, not so much a sweet nut, more of like a walnut. Yeah, definitely got a bit of a nose tingle for a 40%er, which is good. Oh, yep, getting some more fruits now. Yep, here's some pears. Pears and apples. Nice green, fresh orchard fruits coming on. It just goes to show, the neck pour can be weird, and sometimes you need to give it a little bit of time. But this is one of the reasons that I quite like whiskies like this, is that they can develop and they give you a little bit of a journey, a little bit of a story, and you can go through and pick different things out at different times. But it's really nice to actually just sit here and smell it while my dad is probably drinking one. Cheers, Dad. And it's nice to go through the different the evolution that's happening right now in my nose. Because now I'm starting to get sort of more, a little bit of a honeyed note. And I'm starting to get some of those red berries, and it's leaning back to the sort of plums, red berries. So it's an interesting one, and you know, it's a 40%er. It's not going to blow your socks off. But I tell you what, if you've never had a red wine cask finish, then this is a really good starting point. It shouldn't disappoint, especially if you can get it on the deals at 22. I think like the original price that's displayed in the co-op is meant to be 32. I don't think I'd pay that for it, but certainly when I see it at 22, which has been almost always consistently since it's been out in the co-op, I've been buying it, and it's just a good sort of daily drammer. You know, it's not too much to think about. It's not too complex, but it kind of hits all the right notes for a 40%er and quite a refreshing little dram. Getting some more maltiness now. It's a bit more of the cereal notes. So, an interesting nose. Let's see what it's like on the palate. It's making me draw in my face a little bit. It's almost got like a kind of sour note to it. Not overly so, like a kind of sweet sour note. It's got quite a nice balance of sweet and sour there. Kind of reminds me a little bit of like a sour sweetie when you first put it in your mouth and you kind of... But that was just the initial one. This is my first whiskey of the day as well, so it's potentially just a bit of that going on. But there's definitely a slightly tannin, older kind of wood feel, which is kind of nice because obviously it's a non-age statement. Didn't really expect to get too much of a kind of older wood flavour there. Perhaps that's introduced with the French oak. Not sure, to be honest. But it's spent a lot. It's matured in American oak barrels for the most part, and then French Cabernet Sauvignon. So yeah, could be that the American oak is the newer oak that they've used, and then the old red wine cask could be quite an old cask, and it's introduced that kind of old dunnagey kind of wood. There we go. That's what I was expecting. Just got the main takeaway for me for this. I like my takeaways. I like my main takeaway on a whiskey, if you haven't noticed already. And the main takeaway for me on this, and I get it on quite a lot of red wine cask finishes, is like a sort of wild Scottish strawberry, which they normally don't grow that big. They normally don't get that sweet, but they're sweet enough. And they're quite pungent and aromatic. So this is what I'd liken to a red wine cask, is that kind of light berry notes of raspberries and strawberries and maybe some red currants too. And what this does really well, actually, potentially because it's been watered right down to 40%, I have noticed with some red wine cask finishes, is that when, especially if they're cask strength, is the kind of red wine flavour. This is going to sound a bit weird, but it kind of sits on top of the actual malt. It doesn't quite mix nicely through it, and sometimes adding a bit of water can help with that, sort of mellow it out a little bit. It's almost like you get two conflicting flavours in the malt, and it doesn't quite marry and merge into an actual proper drinking malt, I suppose. It feels like maybe it needs a bit more time, or maybe it did need to be watered down. But this has obviously married quite nicely the malty flavours, obviously the flavours that are imparted through the raw spirit, the new mixed spirit, has merged nicely with obviously first of all with the American oak, but also with the red wine. So it's complementing each other rather than this kind of fight of dominant taste that sometimes you can get with the red wine cask finishes. And that actually put me off them for a little while. I stopped buying them because I couldn't quite... They just didn't feel well-rounded and finished off to me for a while. But this one's nice. Yeah, like I said, lots of strawberries and stuff coming through now. It's not overly complex. It's definitely got some... It's not a very spicy one. So if you're put off by very spicy whiskies, there's quite a few of them. I think Old Pulteney, don't think it's up here anymore. The Old Pulteney 17 for me was quite a spicy one. The Glenallachie's can be quite spicy as well. But I really like that. But you know, if you're new to whiskey or you don't quite like these peppery, spicy, Szechuan-y things, then you know, this one's nice and easy. That being said, I'll just pass it under my tongue there for a good bit, because that's normally when I pick up a lot more pepper. Not getting it. There's a little bit of oak spice in there, very light. Light pepper, a little bit of heat, but in general, quite an easy drinker. Not too peppery at all. What did it say again? Nectarine flavours, damson plums, and gingerbread. So perhaps that is the light spice. I quite like that as a tasting note. That works for me. Is that light? If you pass it under your tongue, you get that light pepperiness, which does kind of feel a bit like a you know, when you're eating a spicy little bit of gingerbread. I just can't get past the feeling now that this might have a bit of colouring in it, and that's just, I kind of feel like it might be ruining it. It might just be dampening down the nose a little bit for me. That's me just after telling Dad that it's like a natural colour as well, because I thought it was for some reason. I thought Tamnavulin were doing the right thing and putting it on the old label there, but I do not see it. Oh, also, they break all the whiskey rules. You know how some people have got this thing about you can't describe a whiskey as smooth. They actually say it on the bottle. The sweet, mellow, and smooth taste of Tamnavulin. I don't know why people have got an issue with it. I actually think it describes what it's all about quite nicely. You know, one that's an easy drinker essentially. One that can be quite light, not overly complex, not massive peaks of flavour. You know, can be quite well balanced, maybe slightly muted. So smooth, that's what smooth means to me. Smooth it's not like a derogatory term. It's not a lazy term to me, really, I suppose, if I just explained it like that. So, but yeah, that's it. This neck pour, I'm not enjoying the nose as much as I normally do with this. I now feel like I'm tuning in to some kind of muted, watered down colouring added thing going on. I don't know, maybe it's just my imagination. There's a bit of pepperiness on the nose though. Maybe that's the you could liken that to a gingerbread kind of spice, but I'm not getting massive big punchy smells off this. So let's talk about the finish a little bit. It's pretty short. You would expect that. It does leave quite a nice little tingle. There is a residual kind of red fruit berry flavour going on, which is a very nice sweetness. There is also a kind of average bit of wood going through the whole thing as well. So it's actually really nice. It's like I said, nothing too major, not going to blow you away, but for the money, really good. And as an introduction to a red wine cask finish, I think my dad's going to like this, because, like I said, he's moved away from those big, punchy, smoky, peaty, even cask strength stuff. He doesn't quite connect with it anymore. So, you know, this is this is my attempt at maybe getting him a fairly cheap alternative to a blend to expand his palate a little bit more. But the funny thing is that we always joke that Dad is anosmic, which means you can't smell anything. It's a lie. He can. He's just not got the greatest sense of smell or taste. So, cheers, Dad. I hope you can pick out the same smells and tastes that I can. I doubt it. You never can. But, you know, you never know. Maybe this one's the one to change, and you can pick out these smells. Last little bit in the glass. Give it a good sloosh about. Yep, I'm definitely getting those orchard fruits, which is interesting. It definitely flicks for me between sort of green orchard fruits and red fruits, which is great. But it's definitely more red fruits on the palate for me. Well, there you have it. The Tamnavulin Red Wine Cask finish. It's a tasty little drop at a tasty little price, I think. Don't pay over 30 quid for it. In fact, don't pay over 25 for it. But if you see this for 22 quid, buy yourself a couple of bottles, because it's just one of those drams you don't need to think about. They make great gifts as well, because, you know, it's not that expensive and it's quite a nice little tipple. It's something different as well. Not everybody's had a red wine cask finish, much like my dad. So, yeah, there you go. Cheers. I'll see you in the next one. Oh yeah, I nearly forgot. Don't forget about my whiskey coins. You can buy these on the whiskytrials.com. They make great little gifts, especially if your dad is a fan of the show. And also, they're useful little things for topping your glass so you don't miss any of those lovely smells and tastes. There you go. Ooh, even in focus. Whoops. Whoops. They're even numbered. They're all numbered. There's a limited amount of these, which is the first batch. I sold quite a few, and I only got 100. So get your orders in. I've also got hip flasks and little expandable cups, which you will also see on the website. So thank you for even looking, and if you buy, thank you very much for your support. It's very much appreciated. Definitely this time. Goodbye.